This section is about sn-scriptsync, the VS Code extension that allows you to go hand in hand with sn-utils and use VS Code to do all your coding. The video will cover installation and setup, the actual usage, as well as troubleshooting and tips. So in this case, let's get right to VS Code. And here you see the page within the extensions where you can install it. So just search for scriptsync, and I already have it installed, but from here you can install it. After when you installed it, it's good to check the settings, the extension settings of sn-scriptsync. And this is an important setting. I recommend setting it like this, or change it a bit, and then the path of the folder that you're going to use to store your scripts, when it ends with this, it will automatically start VS sn-scriptsync. So you can manually stop it by clicking in the status bar, but this is easier to do it like this. So let me show that. Now you see it's not running. When I open a folder that matches the pattern, what you see now is that it has auto started. So I could stop it here, but now it is auto started. From here, what you can see is that it also has created some autocomplete helper files for IntelliSense of the APIs. So what we can do now is make a bit of room and go to the ServiceNow environment. And what we need to ensure here is we see that we have this icon over here. If you don't see that icon, be sure to go to the settings, enable VS scriptsync, and then you need to manually reload the page to get this icon to show. Now when I click it, let me make the browser window even a bit smaller. When I click on the icon, what you see happening is an additional tab is opened. That is only triggering when you open the first time when you start scripting that session. And what is happened, file structure has been created. So a folder for the instance is created, a folder for script include is created, and the script include file itself is created. And here you can see the entire script include. So when you start typing here and say test 1 2 3 and save it, then immediately it is being saved back. And you see a little flashing going on here. Here you see a log of everything that's going on, the traffic between the helper and the instance and VS Code. So this is a bit of a log file. This log is not being saved. It's only there while you have the tab open. So this is really easy to do script syncing, as you don't need to store don't need to set up a connection within VS Code as most of the other solutions do. So this is really the basic scenario, and IntelliSense and basic IntelliSense and so on also works from here. So the second one I would like to point out is a script include, a service portal widget. So when I do SPW and type in the current scope, I have a bit of a test scope here. And I only have one widget, and when I click that, it will open the widget editor. Now that I have opened the widget, you see an additional button over here that's also added due to sn-scriptsync. So clicking that and going to the environment again to VS Code, here you see that what has been created is a specific folder for this widget. So widget development acts slightly different than other files. For each artifact, so the CSS, HTML, client script and so on, a file is created. And let's, for example, and what is created as well is test URLs. Over here you see that test URLs are automatically added here, but if you want to test it on another URL you can also do that. But let me control click on that on one of the links here, and this opens that URL in the browser. So what you can do now, let me close that one again. For example, when I go to the client script, I see that there I have defined a limit of 10. So when I change that to 15 and I hit Command Save, immediately that triggers a reload of the page. So when your URL matches something that is in test URLs, it will automatically refresh the matching pages. And one step further, the CSS, specifically the widget CSS, when I click here and I select another color, you see in real time that that color is being changed. And for example, when I set that font size from 1 to 2, it is immediately changed without me saving the record. So it's really easy to customize and to test your widget CSS without going backward and forward and saving it a million times. So next one up. Let me go back to the instance and close this. Here I am, I'll close a few ones. So back in the classic UI again, and now when I start Studio for this app, you see that there are some artifacts within Studio. And now when I go to this special icon and click on it, and when I click in the Studio environment on link VS Code via sn-scriptsync, then it will fill all the artifacts here with what you see in Studio, all the coding artifacts. And for example, I have a UI page. It will create links to the underlying files. So from here, when I open the HTML, at this point, I don't need to click on the arrow or the little icon in the Studio environment, but I can really easily fetch them from here. When I click on that, then on demand, it will be fetched from the instance. So here I have that instance, and when I go, I created a little link. Now I have this UI page open, and I can do the same thing again, similar to what was done automatically with the reload in widget development. When I enable this one, it will try to reload the active tab on save. So when I go to the UI page and I say this is cool and I hit save, it will try to reload the current page, and you see that it is immediately reloaded. So again, a quick way to integrate the VS Code environment in your coding flow and make it as easy as possible. Avoid going back and forward with mouse to reload and show the result. The next one up is from a background script, BG. Another thing to note is that the background script page also has embedded the VS Code editor in it since a few months, and you can disable this in settings. I had a way to mirror the coding, so when you type it in VS Code, automatically apply it here. But since this is now available, this will probably be deprecated. So Last section, troubleshooting and tips. Be sure to remove the files every time you close. So don't keep this as the source of truth. Your instance is the source of truth. And when you need a file, then sync it from the instance or use this section to when you're in studio, working in Studio. Second, you need to be aware that you have to select the same scope in the instance as the files you're working on. So if I would have the instance in global scope, then it would not work. Then when I save this, it would lead to an error message. When your session expired, you can also type in the instance the /token/ command, and that will send the current token to VS Code. So when you get an error, always try the /token/ command from your instance. And the last thing, going back to the slide, when you have a script tag, for example, in your client HTML of a widget, then you need to enable this setting, otherwise it will be sanitized. So this is it. I hope you get a good understanding of how you can integrate this extension in your workflow to be as efficient as possible. And I hope to see you in a future section. Thank you.